Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of the Suited Shootist. And today we are going to be taking a look at the newly released American Fighting Revolver UC grips from Hamre Forge. I had teased these a little bit in an earlier video, and obviously I wanted to wait until they made the official announcement. But I got to tell you that I have been very impressed with these grips. Now, Daryl has already done a great overview, and I'll go ahead and link that video down below. Very high level, people are asking what makes this particular model special. The contour of it matches the Spiegel grip, the big difference being that it has an enclosed backstrap. Now, that matters. I'm going to preface all this by saying that I am a revolver novice. I've had one formal revolver class with Brian Eastridge, and I've also run my snubs through like some skill drills at the local range and stuff like that. So I've got some trigger time on them, but I am far from an expert. So these are purely my opinions and experiences with the limited exposure that I've had so far. So, back in the golden era of revolvers, there were folks like Fuzzy Ferran, Craig Spiegel, I believe it was Mike Hogue, and obviously this is a topic a bit after my own heart because, again, you are talking about true, bespoke, tailored stocks. You would trace your hand, mail this thing in, and they would profile and contour a new grip specifically for your hand. Now, obviously, with mass manufacturing, that's not as scalable of a business model anymore. But the guys over at Hamre Forge, well, the guy over at Hamre Forge, Ryan, is still doing an exceptional job. He got permission to license the Spiegel design because if you're at all familiar with revolvers, you know that Spiegels in wood are almost at this point the same cost as at least an LCR or some of the Taurus guns. You know, they're several $100s because they're rare. So he's able to duplicate the profile with it's not 3D printed. It's some kind of powdered, I think, press formed medium. I'll tag him. I'll let him know the video's up. And so if there's a correction on the manufacture process, I'll let him chime in there. And I'll make sure I cut some B-roll in, giving you a close up on this puppy. But what I found is I've only run, maybe 30, possibly 50 rounds total, on these so far, which for revolver count is not insignificant, but it's not a ton of ammunition. The enclosed backstrap made even plus P38 ammunition surprisingly tolerable. I'm not going to say pleasant because in a lightweight snubby like this, it's still going to bark a little bit, but it didn't hurt my hand nearly the same way that it did when I ran the laser comparison using the Crimson Trace grip, which is interesting because this is a solid material and those were at least rubberized. So there's that. Also, one of the things they mentioned is the trigger reach. So, from the backstrap to the face of the trigger is apparently on par with generally what you would see out of a K-frame. So you have continuity across revolver platforms. And whenever you're shooting a heavy double action gun, having that consistent trigger is important. And again, I have I think fairly average sized hand, at least for a guy my size. And it fits well. I'm able to get a good amount of trigger finger in there so that I'm able to get a good amount of leverage. So the other thing that I've noticed in kind of the dry presentation that I've done is very much like the one that Ryan does for the LCR. This indexes wonderfully. I have a tendency to run front sight high when I shoot revolvers, and I still have to kind of bury the sight a little bit, but not nearly as much as I did with other J-frame stocks. So This points, I guess, a little bit more naturally for me. It is a 2-finger grip, well, kind of 2 1/4, as you can see. But just the way it's cut, the pinky rolls underneath nicely. So even though I don't have purchase on the grip itself, I still got good stability with all 3 fingers, which I'm a fan of. Now, I want to dovetail this in a little bit because, as you've noticed, I've been taking this in and out of a coat pocket. And, we're in the cold season for Texas. It's been a low of the 40s. And for us, that's cold. Now, I've already done a video on cold weather carry, and there are some outer layers that are more conducive to giving you waistband access for your standard concealed carry. But if you're wearing a top layer to stay warm, then it's not going to make sense to run everything. Sorry, I'm going to make sure I'm not rubbing on the mic. Completely zipped up. And if it's a wax jacket like this, yeah, this has a bottom zipper so I can undo it. But there are other. No, it doesn't. I'm wrong. But anyways, point being is something like this is going to be harder to get to an appendix carry. Having a small pocket gun in an outside coat pocket gives you more ready access. But then whenever you get where you're going, you now have a gun wrapped in a jacket that you have to worry about securing. That's one of the reasons that I like these hook grips, because even if it is, holstered in your outside pocket, whenever I get where I'm going to be able to discreetly slip this thing in my waistband. So now I have the gun on my person, and then whenever I go back out into the world, I simply reverse the process. I can very discreetly kind of palm this back into my coat pocket, and now I'm able to kind of have the gun flow into a optimally accessible position regardless of what I'm wearing. For some folks, this is going to be good for a supplemental gun. For some folks, it might be beneficial as a primary gun. So even if you're not going to regularly take advantage of the hook on these Hamre Forge grips, they are definitely worth having. Whether it's just a gas station gun, obviously, the Filster Enigma, I'm a huge fan of. I've got 3 of the things. One of them set up for revolvers. But if you're just like running to the mailbox and you don't happen to have your Enigma rigged up already, something like this, just to stick in a waistband and, walk across the street, sometimes it's a little bit more convenient. And again, rule 1 is always have a gun on you. Having the hammer grip makes that an incredibly easy prospect. So I very strongly recommend that if you haven't already, go check him out. He's making a bunch of great stuff. And I will say, full disclosure, these were sent to me gratis on the arm. So I did not pay for these. I have paid for other Hamre Forge grips in the past, and I will continue to do so because Ryan makes great stuff. He's a cool dude, and I like supporting the company. So if you have any questions on these, put them down in the comments. And if you employ this kind of system of being able to flow the gun into different positions, I want to hear about your user experience as well. So other than that, I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Stay dangerous. Stay sharp.